The Ourlads Football Network. We're talking Big Ten football, just a couple of days away from the start of the Big Ten season for Rutgers. So I decided to save the best for last, our last season preview edition. All these other interviews that will come after this will be week to week. So Richie O'Leary joining us from, as you can see behind him, the Night Report. Can't miss it. Richie, thanks for doing this again.
Yeah, no problem, Greg. You know I love doing these videos.
Yeah, of course. This is the perfect time to do it, too. We talk a handful of times a year, but this is the best one before the season begins. And there's a lot more excitement and anticipation for this season since Greg's been back. And we could see why, even though they lost the bowl game, just ending the season with the way that the offense was playing. We hadn't seen this before. And most of these guys, especially with the skill position players, I know Monungai is not back, but quarterback, receivers, this isn't something that Rutgers fans are used to.
Yeah, I mean, out of the last 5 games of the season, they had 30-plus points in, I think, 4 or 5 of them. Even that last game against Kansas State in the 2024 Rape Bowl, like, Rutgers' offense was clicking on all cylinders. It didn't even look like Rutgers' offense anymore.
Yeah.
It was just so surprising. We're seeing them chuck the ball down the field, complimentary run game, of course. And throughout Greg Schiano's tenure, it's always been run, then throw a pass in there here and there. But towards the end, it was like, oh, my God, who are these guys?
Yes, and that's why there's a lot of hope and optimism about the offense again. We'll go over everything regarding the offense and defense, and we'll also talk about the game coming up on Thursday. First things first, because this is important news for any Rutgers fans especially, and for all college football fans. What's the latest that you're hearing regarding Fox? Do you get that this is actually going to happen, that YouTube is going to have an issue and we're going to have to miss a few games before they come to an agreement? And of course, we're one of the first ones and we're going to have to deal with it. Or do you think they'll come to an agreement before Thursday?
Yeah. So, I mean, thankfully with our new team over at On3 Sports, because now we're merged as one giant company, we were able to kind of get a lot of more insider information because we have just so many top-notch guys between McMurphy, Andy Staples, et cetera, Ross Dellinger, like the list goes on and on. But basically from what I was told is that Rutgers specifically, and then some other teams like Minnesota also plays on Thursday. Most of the Big Ten and Big 12 teams that have those Fox deals might be collateral damage because I just don't think a deal is going to get done by then. The thing that was going to probably push this deal over the edge for YouTube TV guys and YouTube TV subscribers is probably that Friday Auburn-Baylor game, or even that Texas-Ohio State game on Saturday.
Of course.
I think those are the two that are going to be like, okay, we have to do something. We have to get it done. So unfortunately, it does sound like if you have YouTube TV and you're not going to the game on Thursday night, it sounds like you might be a little SOL and you might have to figure something else out.
And there is a service out there? You'd have to go directly to Fox, right? And they've got a streaming service?
Yeah, so they have a Fox Sports Live. I don't know if you can necessarily get the service without having a TV subscription through them. So basically, if you have a cable provider, just sign in with your cable provider, whether it's Optimum, Xfinity, Verizon, and they just give you free access to it. So if not, I mean, there's a million, you and me both know this, there's a million illegal streaming sites out there that you can get it on too very easily.
That's true.
People will figure it out, I'm sure.
And what about, do you think this will affect just the live part of the game? Do you think we'll be able to watch, let's say they can't watch it, but you think there'll be a way for them to log on and watch a on-demand version somehow? Or if it's not on live, YouTube's not going to be able to show it at all?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be on YouTube at all, but BTN Plus, if you subscribe to that will be up. It's usually about less than 24 hours after the game ends. You can rewatch the whole thing, or if you just have cable and just watch it on Fox, if you're local. If you're not local, then again, you're going to have to do something else. You're going to have to figure it out, whether it be Hulu or some other service provider, and kind of go from there.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely do that. At least it's a game where it's not, Rutgers playing Iowa, let's say. Fair. That would be real trouble. But hopefully Rutgers fans, if they do miss the game, won't have to worry about a stress type of situation, because if they do, then maybe things aren't going to be as good as we hope. So, all right, let's get into all that stuff a little bit later on. I just want to throw that out there first for anybody, because again, that's important. All right, so let's talk about the team starting on offense. We talked a little bit about that at the open. The passing game looks like it's going to be really good again, but it all does start up front. And I know that the good news is with all the injuries the team had last year, so far, so good. Only one key injury, right? And that is the transfer from Lafayette that was going to potentially start at left tackle.
Yeah, that's Ryder Langsdale. Kid was arguably Lafayette's best offensive lineman ever, multi-time All-Conference, FCS All-American. Like he was very, very talented. And I think honestly he probably would be starting if he ended up getting dinged up in the first week and a half of camp. But they got options now. They got depth, and they brought in a couple pieces via the transfer portal. You could see there.
Yeah. Do you think any of those guys, though, the additional transfer portal players on offense, as far as the offensive line, are actually going to get into it? Or right now it's just going to be most of the holdovers on the offensive line are going to be the ones that we're really going to be able to count on, including some of the younger players from the last couple of years, like a Chin. Is it time for him to now maybe even get in and get an opportunity to play some?
Yeah, I think Dante Chin and Tyler Needham are fighting for that left tackle battle. It's going to be really interesting to see who ends up winning it. And Greg kind of said in his press conference yesterday, even if someone does end up getting the starting reps, it's probably going to be like the first 2-3 games, which are all the non-conference games, to kind of figure out who's going to be that guy when it comes to Big Ten play, because that's really what matters. I know that you don't want to look too far ahead. You should, knock on wood, go 3-0 in non-conference play for the most part of every year with Rutgers' schedule that they do.
Sure.
Whether it be MAC, G5, and then an FCS opponent. So you should go undefeated and then as long as you figure it out by game 4 when Big Ten play starts, that's all that really matters. But between Dante Chin and Tyler Needham, I think that's the big question mark right now for the line. But the rest, there's a bunch of starters returning, a lot of depth behind them, experience depth on top of it.
Yeah, and of course, having the biggest opening at left tackle be Pierce and how important he was to the offensive line. But it's college. You got to replace these guys. I know how it is. So as far as our depth chart, the way Arled's has the depth chart, the only difference is you would move Chin up as the backup left tackle to Needham, and all those starters that you see there from last year, they're all going to be the guys that are going to start on Thursday.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a battle brewing at right tackle. There's a transfer you're actually missing over there, and Justin Cesare coming up from D2 from New Haven. So very talented at New Haven, very good prospect. They actually just made the move from D2 to D1 this offseason. But yeah, he wanted to give it a try and see if he could do it at the Big Ten level, and he's pushing up. And then Mashu Giwa, he's another guy that's actually pushing for playing time. He's coming up from Long Island, another FCS All-American. And even if he doesn't start this year, I think Mashu Giwa's probably got multi-year starter written all over him.
That's good to know, because that's like the last step for offense for Rutgers as far as their maturation into the Big Ten big boys, is they have to get that offensive line. And they have an edge, which really helps them, is they have one of the better offensive line coaches in all of college football, somebody with pro Super Bowl winning experience. And that really is a big help.
Yeah, I mean, having Pat Flaherty there, 40-year coaching veteran, 2-time Super Bowl champ, with my New York Giants, thankfully. Yeah, I mean, they are just very grateful for him. And on top of it, he's actually a pretty good recruiter too. Like he's out to prove that he's not just the old man that's just sitting behind a desk and coaching, but he's also out on the trail, going in Greg Schiano's helicopter, going to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, etc., trying to get these kids to commit.
Does he wear those 2 Super Bowl rings with him, I guess, when he goes? Yeah,
of course.
He's got to.
You should see how many kids talk about just trying them on when they go on visits and stuff. And I mean, how do you not flaunt it, especially when it's a local team?
That's right. All right, so let's talk about running back. I mentioned Monangai, of course, is no longer here. And you've got a couple of guys that we are familiar with last year in Benjamin and Raymond. But one of the key offensive transfers that they added is CJ Campbell at running back. So you think this is going to be sort of like what we were just saying in offensive line? You see the same thing is going to happen with Benjamin, Raymond, and Campbell for the first 3 games, or do you expect that's going to be the whole season between the 3 of them? And maybe even Sam Brown too.
Sam Brown's probably going to redshirt if I had to
guess. He is. He's out. He's definitely okay.
He'll get back eventually some games this season, and with that new redshirt rule, you could still appear in 4 plus a bowl game. So ideally, it's probably towards the latter half of the season, and then plus the bowl game, you can get more practices in for him. Just kind of get that leg back up to speed, because you saw it last year. That injury was brutal too. He tore, I don't even know how many muscles it was, but it wasn't good. But yeah, I don't think he'll see much of the field this year. But the three of them are really, really talented, and they all provide something different. I mean, I'm making jokes on social media, calling them like the Earth, Wind, and Fire of the Giants back in the day with Derek Ward, Ahmad Bradshaw, Brandon Jacobs. Now, mind you, Brandon Jacobs, there's no one that can ever replace him and be someone that size. But Antoine Raymond's a pretty good power back. CJ Campbell's a kid that's coming in with over, I think it was 1,200 yards all-purpose last year between, I think it was 500 receiving, another 800 running the ball out of the backfield. So he's got a lot of different capabilities. And then Jayshon Benjamin is like the forgotten man that people don't really talk about enough because he missed almost all of last year. But as a true freshman, he played all 12 games and saw some significant snaps in those 12 games. He caught the one really big pass against Washington. I think it was Washington. I forget who it was actually. But either way, like the three of them all have different capabilities. And I think it's more of a running back by committee. But I still think at the end of the day, Campbell's probably the best of the bunch and the most unique because of that pass catching ability.
Okay. And then the other transfer on offense that is going to be a big part potentially of this offense, or at least that's the look of it, and that is DT Sheffield. And even if Sheffield wasn't there, I'd be excited about the wide receiver group. And I know Miller's out and they had the three of them, but I was expecting Strong and Duff to take bigger steps this year. And I was, all right, maybe another younger player like a Ben Black and they'd be okay. But they went out and got DT Sheffield. And now it's looking like, wow, it's been a long time actually since I've seen this quality if ever, even back in the day when, Kenny Britt was there and some of the other guys that we remember. So this is as good as a trio of receivers Rutgers has ever had.
Yeah, I think on paper, and I've said this a couple times, that trio of wide receivers reminds me a lot of that 07 team with Tyquan Underwood, Kenny Britt, Tim Brown. You had a bunch of different guys that can kind of do a little bit of everything. And it's similar because Kenny Britt was that tall, lengthy receiver. Then you have 6'6" KJ Duff. Ian Strong is kind of that Tyquan Underwood guy who you could kind of just trust in just about any situation to go up and get a jump ball and haul it in no matter what. It doesn't matter who's covering them. Doesn't matter how many people are covering them. And then DT Sheffield is Dymere Miller, but faster and stronger. Like he is very, very explosive in space. I'm so excited to see what they can do with him because they had Dymere Miller, who led all FCS a year ago at Monmouth, come in and lead the team with 750 receiving yards. So I'm really intrigued to see what Sheffield can do, not only just at receiver, but as a potential kick returner too, because he's just extremely explosive. You get him that ball in space and he's gone.
You mean the days of just fair catching a punt might be over?
I think there'll be a lot more kick returns. I don't know how many more because Greg said it before, like on his presser recently, strategically, you want that 25 yards if it's free.
Yeah.
If not, if you see an opening, then it's like, okay, go for it. But who knows? We'll have to just wait and see on Thursday.
Yeah, because special teams is definitely something we're used to it being a key part of Rutgers football, and that just wasn't the case last year. So I certainly hope they get back to that, especially blocking kicks and things of that nature, returning kicks. It's a Schiano staple. So I don't want him to lose that aggressiveness on special teams. So
yeah, I think they'll be just as aggressive this year as ever, to be honest with you.
Okay, who should we be looking at after the top three at wide receiver? Who really sticks out?
Ben Black is easily that fourth guy. I think he can kind of be slotted in either that X or that Z spot. The two true freshmen are really interesting in Jordan Houston and Vernon Allen. Vernon Allen had a huge spring game, has continued that through training camp. He's got really good hands. He's got able to create separation. They're just both very young, whereas I think Jordan Houston's more of that deep threat type. But I think Ben Black's probably that wide receiver 4. And then after that, you can kind of go with the or situation between those two. Dane Partridge is up there for the slot, but I don't know how much he's actually going to play this year. He has 2 years as a transfer. Just came in, I want to say 2-3 weeks ago, after playing the first week of training camp at Northern Illinois and then jumping over to Rutgers, also a kick returner and punt returner. So it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of slots out. But yeah, I mean, this wide receiver room, again, not just the top 3, but from top to bottom is one of the best in recent history.
All right, and it all starts at quarterback, and this year could be the first year of the Rutgers quarterback, because it's been a long time, and I know there's some records that need to be broken, and I believe Ethan is going to break some of those records. It's not like Rutgers has a great history of quarterback play, that's for sure, but with AJ Serace behind him, I think that's the other thing that we're all excited about as Rutgers fans is this potential quarterback this season. And then just the passing of the mantle to AJ Serace for another couple of years, it could be something that this program has never seen.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of AJ Serace, multi-year starter by far. I've been saying this since day one. He's going to be so damn good, and I'm like almost more excited for 26 than 25. It's crazy to say that, but I think his ceiling is a lot higher than Ethan's, and that's where it gets interesting. But Ethan is the better quarterback right now. Ethan has all the tools. He's the prototypical Greg Schiano, Kirk Shiraka quarterback, where he's going to limit his mistakes and make very few of them on top of it. But he's also been pretty consistent. I know his passing numbers in terms of completion percentage aren't ideal. I think it was around 54, 55%.
Yeah, that's gotta get better. Yeah,
that's gotta get better. I agree with that. There was a lot of drops last year. Jameer Miller specifically had a lot of them last season, but a couple changes here and there, and you get a guy like DT Sheffield with better hands, and another year of KJ Duff, another year in Ian Strong, and that number could jump closer to that 60%. And I think people would be excited with that. But you said it before, he's the best quarterback in Rutgers in the past decade, easily.
Yeah.
So he had 2,696 yards last year. The last quarterback to have 2,000 plus in a season was 2015. Like it's been pretty ugly at quarterback. Yes. So they finally have a guy that they can at least trust. And heck, you get the ball to these guys and you kind of just let them do their thing, whether it be CJ Campbell out of the backfield, whether it be one of those three receivers. I think this offense really has a chance to explode. And we talked to Ethan yesterday after practice, and we just kept asking him about the offense, about the wide receiver room. And I mean, sometimes you can just kind of get a feeling from talking to these guys, and he is just very giddy to show like what this offense can do. And I think Kirk Shiraka is the same way. I think Greg Schiano even says it or shows it in his press conferences. These guys are excited for this year to start, and I think that this offense has a chance to be best since probably 2007.
Who is the all-time passing leader? Is it Nova?
No, I think it's Mike Teal, isn't it?
Oh, Mike Teal. Okay, that would make more sense.
I got to double check on that one. That's a good question. I think in terms of touchdowns, it might be Nova, but I think yards was Teal, because Teal was there for Teal. I mean, Teal's offenses. When I'm going back to the 2017, Teal's offenses were phenomenal.
Yes, that's why that's an easy one to, I guess, remember. I should have. Okay. Let's now move. Oh, by the way, are they going to get anything out of the tight end position for a change? I know there was a lot of injuries last year, so just keeping these guys healthy would be a big help.
Yeah, Kenny Fletcher was leading the team in receiving through the first 3-4 weeks, and they just kept running that same out route with him, and they couldn't stop it. So I mean, I think he'll come back. He'll do a lot better. He ended up getting injured and missed the rest of the year. That hurt a little bit, but they added Colin Weber, who's a pretty solid tight end in his own right. They returned most, if not all, of the tight end room, minus Victor Konopka, who actually just medically retired. But I think they'll be productive. You can see right there Colin Weber's 23 stats. He led that Charlotte team in receiving. Now, mind you, not a great Charlotte team, but 362 yards, pretty decent for a tight end.
That's right. And you just up it with a better quarterback and a better team, and you never know. Okay. Defense. Now, as you can see, all the players in orange, these are all the transfers. So this is where things are a little bit unnerving, but also promising because of the fact that they're bringing in these pass rushers like Weaver and O'Neal, and they bring in these defensive tackles like this. But there was a good players there that they're replacing. But there's also talent coming in. So this is the thing about the transfer portal, though. It's like you just don't know. So what's your gut feeling tell you about how the defensive line is going to be this season? Do you think it's going to be also better than we've had in recent years?
I think the edge rushers will be better than in recent years. I think the interior is still a major question mark. But I think with most defenses, even if you get like mid interior play, you can work with that and you can make that work. It's just you can't be awful in the interior. If you're awful in the interior, you're just going to get runs up the gut.
Yes,
that linebacker room is going to have to judge real quick if they can get to that guy or not. and take the correct angles on top of that, because we saw that last season, way too much of them taking the wrong angles or hitting the wrong gap, and then all of a sudden it turns from a 2-yard run to like a 7-8 yard run. But I think the interior is a little bit of a question mark. The edge rushers, though, I'm very high on Bradley Weaver and Eric O'Neill. I think the two of them are probably the best edge rusher duo since I don't even know when. I mean, to put it like this, Rutgers' leading sack guy over the past 3 years was 4.5 sacks, 4.5 sacks, 4.5 sacks.
That's
got to be better than that.
Yeah.
I think Eric O'Neill has that juice and that swagger. I know he's a little bit on the tinier side. I think that, what is that, 6'3" right there? I think that's a little deceiving, but that's a little generous, I should say. But
it always is.
Yeah, I think between him and Weaver, I think the two of them, add in Jordan Walker, who just got named captain and led the team with those 4.5 sacks last year after being a walk-on 2 years ago at tight end. So I think between the three of them, Jordan Thompson, there's a lot of different guys that you can kind of work in and out. It's going to be a very deep edge rusher position that I think that they can rotate guys in and get some pressure on these quarterbacks. I just need that interior to hold up it from Rutgers, and that's the big question mark still.
Yeah, that is not where you want to have a weakness, because again, that is where if you get beat on the running game, that's problematic, especially in the Big Ten. So okay. Then by the way, as far as those two new defensive tackles, which one has the highest ceiling?
I'll be honest, I don't know if either of them start, honestly.
Oh, really?
I think that second string is probably the first string, and first string is second string.
Okay.
It's just more of a veteran thing too. I think Zaire Angoy's been a guy he's got such a good feel-good story. He came in at 385 back in 2021. He's now down to 305. Like, he has significantly changed his body. I think he'll still be a nice run stuffer. Doug Blue Eli, another run stuffer. So there's your nose tackle. Perfect. And I think that they'll suffice. It's that other D tackle spot that I'm concerned about. Dengoe's a little bit on the smaller side, a little bit concerning. And then Keshawn Griffin started playing more and more snaps towards the end of last season, even started 3 of the last 4 games of last season. So I'm intrigued to see how those two hold up. They also added Oliver Billette, who I actually just talked to yesterday. He's another guy that's a little bit on the smaller side. I think he's more of a 290-ish, 280-ish. So we'll just see how these guys kind of rotate in and kind of how they end up doing.
Okay. Linebackers and Jabome, we know how good he can be. And now apparently the rest of the Big Ten is well aware. So now it's up to Moses Walker to take that next step. He came in, of course, as a pretty big recruit for the university, and he hasn't lived up to it yet. So this would be a really good timing if he can actually take that next step.
Yeah, I mean, Jabome, all Big Ten third team last year after some serious early season struggles. He really, really just came into his own and turned into a damn good linebacker. And like I just said, one of the best in the Big Ten. So I'm not really concerned about him. Moses Walker's the big question mark. He got a little bit better towards the end of last season, but he still needs to learn a little bit more. I think the jury's still out on him from a lot of people until the lights actually turn on for kickoff. So that's the big question mark. Can he be that sideline to sideline guy that they desperately need? Because I think Jabome, who's good in his own right, good run stuffer, solid tackler, solid form tackler, will get there. But I need a guy that can be fast and quick, sideline to sideline, to basically stop anything that goes in that second string of the defense. Can he be that guy? I think the potential is there. I think he does it in practice. Now, can he do it when the lights are on? That's the big question mark, because we've seen it time and time again where guys are practice superstars and then the lights come on and then they're lost.
Is that the position where they have the most questionable depth?
Yes, maybe. I think the defensive interior is the questionable one. But behind them, Abram Wright was pretty damn good last year up until he got a season-ending injury, so he's back. Sam Robinson, they're very high on. I kind of will relate him to a Alakali Fatakasi type. He's still developing. He's still very young, but if he can turn into hit his ceiling, I think that would be his ceiling. And then there's some young guys behind them too, and some freshmen. But in an ideal world, you don't want any freshman linebacker out there.
No. So Wright and Robinson, though, if they have to play a little bit more than expected, there is talent there. So
yeah.
Okay. All right. And in the secondary, lots of changes here. And even though there are questions here, this is just a position on any Greg Schiano defense that I'm never concerned about, because how often do we see these players that just come there and within a year or 2 years, and then they're off to the NFL, or 3 or 4, they're off to the NFL, and some of them don't even get drafted, like a Christian Izzy, and boom, they start the first year. They're so well prepared for the next level, and that helps in recruiting too. So, what about the new guys this year? It looks like looks like on paper they brought in some interesting transfers.
Yeah, I mean, I would put up my life savings on Greg Schiano and defensive backs. Like,
Yeah.
I trust that guy more than anything. And between looking back, it was Trey Avery brought in was a little bit of a question mark. He goes out, plays a couple years at Rutgers, 7th round draft pick. Now he's on an NFL team for multiple years. Christian Braswell plays at Temple, comes to the Big Ten, plays at Rutgers for a couple years, NFL draft pick. The most recent one, Eric Rogers. Eric Rogers comes in from Northern Illinois, plays 2 years at Rutgers, doesn't get drafted, gets signed, and now he had the top PFF grade of all of preseason of any defender, not just rookies, like any defender.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, Christian Izzian went from undrafted free agent to certified starter for the Bucs multiple years now. So it's Max Melton, 2nd round pick recently. Like I didn't even mention the draft picks mostly.
Yeah,
but it's just
unfortunately Longerbeam's out for the year, but he'll get his time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was told he was going to make the active roster before that.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you, the guy knows defensive backs. Like, he's been doing it his whole life. He knows what to look for. And then you hear NFL coaches always raving about how they're ready for the NFL like day one. Like, a lot of these other guys come in and they're out of shape, or they're over here vomiting because they're running too much. And it's an NFL practice for Rutgers. But anyway, yeah, I trust these DBs. I think Cam Miller's interesting. He's got Big Ten experience, and not just Big Ten experience. He's a multi-year starter at Penn State. So that was pretty good. I know he had some hiccups here and there, especially in the playoffs last year. But yeah, no, I mean, multi-year starter in the Big Ten. Nice. Perfect. Jet Elad's the guy that they were fighting for throughout the court circuits to get him approved for this year. I think that's still going on technically, but it seems like that court case is just going to keep dragging. And hopefully it drags till January. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Yeah. But very talented kid, very talented safety. I'm intrigued to see how they do it this year a little bit too, because they're going from a 3 safety look to now a 2 safety look with 3 corners instead. So Bo Mascow's another one. And then he's been with the team for a couple years. He's been very good. I think he started a couple games late last season. And then the other spot is Al-Shadi Salam or Jacoby Henderson. They're kind of fighting for that spot at the moment.
Okay.
Well, we'll see. You can kind of even rotate these guys. I think Bo Mascow could even play some nickel. He has played some nickel. I shouldn't say he could. Cam Miller's played some nickel at Penn State. Jacoby Henderson's played outside and nickel at where was he at? Ohio? No, I forget where it was at. Marshall.
Marshall, yeah.
Yeah. So these guys can all kind of rotate between the 3 corner spots. But if you're going to play 3 corners over 3 safeties, you better be damn good tacklers. And that's the main concern I kind of have there. But Kosh Sanders also returns. Didn't even talk about him.
That's right.
Solid freshman year for the 4-star. Multiple starts as a true freshman last year. And I think he had some issues last year, but I think that another year with the program, another year learning under Schiano and crew, that he's only going to get better. So we'll have to wait and see, but I'm not really concerned about the secondary, and I don't think I'll ever be concerned about under Greg.
Who has the biggest upside between Sanders and Mascow? Sanders, right?
It's an interesting one. I think Mascow has like Max Melton type potential, and he's so young still. Like, he has so much time to grow and turn into that really good cornerback. He's so athletic back there too. So like I said, like I don't even know technically if that would be the starting lineup. I don't even know what the starting lineup will be between the corners and safeties. Or I shouldn't say safeties. The safeties are pretty much locked in, but the corners, because there's just so many things you could do. You could put one in a nickel and shift this guy outside. This guy's getting a little tired. You could shift in Al-Shadi Salam. There's so many options there that it's really going to be interesting to see how they manage it.
Who else besides Salam would be considered a good contributor in that secondary as far as the depth guys?
I think Chris Joins is probably a little bit higher at safety. I think he'd be 2nd string safety. I think Claudius is right up there. Claudius is really interesting because he's a 6'4" corner, and it's just you don't really see that. He might be 6'5" actually at this point. So you don't really see that too often. Zylan Williams is up there too. Michael Clayton, if any of the freshmen are going to play at corner, it's him. He's the most, not NFL ready, NCAA ready, I guess. So he's got the body and the mold for it. So I think you'll see him out there quite a bit. Honestly, the entire secondary room, I think you could replace anyone with anyone. not be too concerned. Would you be a little concerned? Yes, of course, because you don't want to lose a
Okay.
starter. But I think that even the second unit is pretty solid.
So the only guy that we don't have is there's Joins.
Yeah, well,
Oh, we do have him there.
yeah,
The
you have
transfer.
him.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
yeah,
him.
from
Okay.
Mercer. So we'll see how he does too. I'm really intrigued to watch him.
All right. And now let's move on to special teams we talked about. And Patel seems like he's been getting better and better. It's interesting watching him from his very first kick. It was more of, well, he's okay from, within 40, but you don't want to, we're not going to give him too many shots deep. And then all of a sudden, year two, is giving him more deeper opportunities, and he was hitting some of those. So there's an opportunity for him to put together even a better year. He seems like a pretty consistent kicker so far.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's easily the best kicker, most consistent on the team. I don't think there's any question about it. And not really concerned. Like you said, from 40 in, it's like, all right, that man's probably going to hit it. I don't really have any issues sending him out there, even if it's a clutch situation, or even like they're trying to ice him. Like I still trust the guy. I think he's very consistent.
Okay. Let's now, before we wrap, I want to talk about, before we get to the Ohio game, the 5.5 win total for Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
This is, by the way, their ridiculous number because they're not winning the Big Ten. But still, for them to be this far down is just ridiculous to me. I don't care about this number. They're not winning the Big Ten. I just don't understand what they're doing down here. But anyway, their 5.5 win total is just all about the schedule. That is it. That's what we all understand. But still, I've said this repeatedly this offseason. The fact I believe, of years of experience, is if you have a good football team, it's not going to matter what the schedule is. You're going to win the games that you need to win to be a bowl team, say. So I'd be shocked if this team wasn't a bowl team.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, the schedule is basically it's not the gauntlet everyone's really saying it is. I don't think it's as hard as people are saying it is. I think, of course, Ohio State's up there. They're top 3 in the country. Penn State's probably the best team on paper in the country. And I know Rutgers fans don't want to hear that, but like those are 2 damn good teams, and you could probably mark them as L's right now if you really wanted to.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of winnable games there. I think, obviously, like just going through it, like the 3 non-conference, I said it before, I'm very confident they win those 3. After that is where it gets really interesting. That Iowa game on a Friday night, blackout on Fox, atmosphere is going to be rowdy, especially if it's a 3-0 Rutgers versus 3-0 Iowa. This is going to be each team's chance to kind of prove what they got. Now, is Iowa really any good? I don't know. I saw that one clip where they threw a forward pass and it got like 10 million views because Iowa fans have just never seen that before.
Yeah.
But then you see a clip from like a reporter all of a sudden, not from the team, and he's fumbling snaps. He's bobbled multiple shotgun snaps.
This is the FCS kid?
Yeah. And okay. I'm like, don't get me wrong. I think he's very talented.
Yeah.
Like he was really good at South Dakota State, I think it was. Yeah, really talented there. But when you start seeing beat reporters tweet out like, oh, he's fumbling this, he's fumbling that, he threw a pick 6 during the scrimmage, and it's like, okay, wait, maybe he's not as good as you think. Like let's wait and see what happens when the lights come on. So knock on wood, I have Rutgers actually winning that one. So I think that'd be 4-0 Rutgers, and that's where things get really, really interesting. Can you pull off an upset at Minnesota? I think it's very possible. Beat them last year? Yeah, they beat them last year. So I think it's very possible there. And then you beat Washington last year. I'm not saying you're going to win both those games. I'd probably go 1-1 in those games.
Split's fine if you start 4-0. Yeah.
I think then what is after that? Oregon at homecoming, they're not winning it, but I think they'll be competitive.
I think so too. Yeah. Because I don't trust. I need to see. And I don't know. Did Oregon name their starting quarterback yet? Dante Moore?
I think it. I don't think they named him.
I know there was a competition, but yeah, I got to see Dante Moore play first and play as well as everybody anticipated he was going to play when he came out, and he was with Chip Kelly. And I know that was UCLA, but I don't know. I just have to see him be the guy, first of all, that everybody believes he can be before I'm like worried about Dante Moore. So anyway.
Yeah. So I don't have them beating Oregon. I don't think it's even feasible. Like
that would be a big one. Yeah.
And then Purdue, worst team in the Big Ten. You just saw them at the bottom of those DraftKings standings. Illinois should have beat them last year. I don't think they beat them this year. I think it's a better Illinois team, but
yep.
And then Maryland's probably that final win. I think
better beat them.
I think that should get you to 7, and that could be Mike Loxley's swan song at that point.
Yeah, if his freshman quarterback doesn't turn out well, and I don't know, I'm not so impressed. So
I love Malik Washington. Don't get me wrong, and they paid a lot of money for him. I'll tell you that much. So they just better hope it works out quicker than later.
all right, so yeah, I agree. I think that Iowa game. I think that they've got a team this year that they need to win that next big game for them, and I think Iowa makes a lot of sense, especially where it is on the schedule, because the next step after that is beating one of those Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State teams. But you got to take it one step at a time. And I think it would be a successful season if they could knock off Iowa. And that would really make the season in my mind. If they start off 4-0, I'd be a happy camper. I know the way the rest of the season is going to go. It's probably going to go exactly like you said, somewhere around 7 wins, and I'll be fine. And I think most Rutgers fans would too.
Yeah, I think you hit that 5.5. You can't really be, or well, 6. Hit that 6 mark and get a bowl game. I really don't think you could be too upset. The only thing you could be upset about is it's probably going to be the Pinstripe Bowl again. So get ready to go to the Bronx all over again. But the Bronx loves them, and they'll do anything in their power to get them back. It's the only team that can consistently sell 30,000 seats, basically, if not more. So.
As far as the game on Thursday, so what do you think? What do you think? Because the thing is yes, they're bringing back an experienced quarterback who won the MAC championship. Got a couple other players, but they lost a lot. They lost their coach, a new coach, and this is the third one. And I always believe when you either your head coach or assistant coaching in the NFL college football, if they're really good and then you hand it off to another guy and they actually are really good too, by the time you get to the third guy, it's not happening. I'm sorry. I just don't think Ohio's all of a sudden going to pick things, especially in a non-conference slate. Even last year, they weren't very good in non-conference games. So, matter of fact, if you look at it, Ohio is 1-9 straight up, 2-8 against the spread. Their last 10 versus Power 4 teams since 2018, including losing to Syracuse by 16 last year and Kentucky by 35. Meanwhile, Rutgers, as you were mentioning in those first 3 games, they're 12-0 straight up, 8-1 against the spread the last 4 years in the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah, this is where it's really interesting because Ohio's coaching, well, their head coach, of course, left for Charlotte, Tim Albin. Now, he didn't bring anyone with him. Like, it's the OC is the guy that took over. He was interim and then took over as head coach. So, obviously, the OC returns. Their OC the year before Brian Smith got there was their OC, got demoted to quarterback's coach, and is now their OC again. So, it's kind of returning philosophy there.
Yeah,
and then their DC stayed on as well. Like, he didn't take anyone with him. So it's like very bizarre for me to see that, to ever see a coach not take his guys with him somewhere, especially when they'd probably getting paid more in Charlotte versus
it is weird. Yeah.
So very, very bizarre there. But I do think Parker Navarro is one of the best quarterbacks in Group of 5, like without a doubt. And Greg Schiano said it best yesterday. He said if the guy was 3 inches taller, he'd be at Notre Dame. He wouldn't be at Ohio. And he is that good. I think C. Bonagora, if I pronounced that correctly, he's a very interesting one because he had a 1,000-yard season in 2022, 1,000-yard season in 2023, goes to Minnesota, doesn't play at all, and then comes back to Ohio again. So now he's returning. I think he's pretty solid. Their receiving core is solid. Their entire defense has got obliterated. Their best edge rusher is now Rutgers' second best edge rusher, arguably. Their starting left tackle this year, Shedrick Rhodes, who was at Rutgers for a year and couldn't even crack the 2 deep. So I think Rutgers should line up and pretty easily just win this one. It could be ugly at first as teams are just trying to figure out who they have, especially with all these newcomers and transfers nowadays. And that dual threat quarterback always gives Greg Schiano's defense a little bit of fits early on. So I do think it could get a little ugly. I think that Rutgers might only be winning a half by, like, say, 7 points, maybe even less. Who knows? But I do think Rutgers still ends up covering. I think it opened up as a 10.5 spread back in May. It went to 14.5. I think it's at 15.5 now. So Vegas must know something. And I think Rutgers is going to come close to covering that one. I think if people were smart and listened to our podcast, we told you as soon as it said 10.5, throw the money on it. And apparently some people listened because it changed. So, but I don't know if they'll cover to 15.5, but I think the over is going to hit. I think this offense is going to be very, very special.
Yeah, I think it all depends on what the score is, what the game looks like. I'm not worried too much about the score unless, of course, there is a lot of ugliness in there. That's not what we want to see. I know it's the first game, and I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. But like I said, I mean, just even looking at last year, there was a better Ohio team and they still couldn't cover the spread that Rutgers is giving them this year. So I think I mean, at least I am. I'm at the point now where it's like, yeah, I get it. These are facing the two MAC championship game teams to start the season. I'm sure that's not what was expected when they signed up a few years ago, but it is what it is. And I'm okay with that, because you should still beat these teams by double digits, and they're going to give you some good early season competition. They're not Norfolk State. But I as a fan, I don't know. I'm kind of getting a little bit spoiled in a way, I believe it or not, where it's like, yeah, by the end of this game, I want to just make sure that in the fourth quarter, game is over. Yeah. No worries. No, and I don't want it to be ugly for more than a quarter or two.
No, I think you'll get that. I think this offense is going to show off some things. Not show off too much, because you don't want to give away like any trade secrets to Iowa down the road, or heck, even Miami, Ohio finished second in the MAC last year. So they're not a pushover either. Again, missing a lot of pieces compared to last year's team, but
including the quarterback, which Ohio does have. Yeah,
exactly. So I do think that this is going to be a fun year. I think this is going to be a very exciting year football wise for Rutgers, because you're going to see an offense you haven't seen before. And I think that they'll be able to handle business pretty easily on Thursday night.
I hope so. Richie, great job as always. And I want to make sure, let's see. So you're going to have post-game shows again this year?
Yeah, that's the plan. This one's going to be, it's going to be a late one, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
Love 6 o'clock start and all that. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But
okay,
we will be live on the night report.
Usually what? Just a couple minutes after the game ends?
No, I wish.
You could be at the game. That's right.
Yeah, got to drive home after. So it probably takes a solid 20, 30 minutes. We try to wait for Greg Schiano's press conference too. So it gives us a little bit something more to talk about. So if you're a Rutgers fan, make sure you stay up and join us. And we might have a live calling. So we'd love to have people join us.
I will. Yeah, and I'll be watching. And I've got links in the description for this as well. So right now you can just go there, check it out if you haven't seen it before. And this way you can follow Rutgers football all season long with Richie and the boys there at the Night Report. Rich, again, thanks a lot. And I look forward to talking to you during the season. Who knows, if they start 3-0, maybe we'll get a chance to talk for a few minutes before the Iowa game or something like that. And if it's a really good season, maybe even more down the road. So I appreciate your time as always.
Yeah, I'm always around and always down to talk some Rutgers football. But thanks, Greg.
You got it. Thanks, Rich. All right, that's Richie O'Leary once again with the Night Report, joining us here for our final college football. Oh, there I go out of focus again. For our final college football season preview right here on Proline TV on the Arledge Football Network. And we are going to talk some NFL a little bit later on with the Arizona Cardinals. So if you're an Arizona Cardinal fan or just an NFL fan, you want to find out what's going on in the NFL with every team, check out all the interviews we have here in this section, of course, for NFL. You can check out all of our college football interviews in our college football section. Big Ten interviews. We've had Oregon, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. We are going to interview Tom Kakert, who covers Iowa, the Hawkeye Report, the week of the Iowa State game. That's next week. So that'll give us a good idea of, talking a little bit about, obviously, Iowa State. But I'll do my best to find out about Iowa and the quarterback situation and everything else about Iowa to maybe give us a little heads up on what to look forward to for Rutgers and Iowa a little bit later on down the road as far as the schedule is concerned. And I think that's it. I don't know if we have had any other teams that we had in the USC. That's right. I keep with the USC thing, but we did do USC as well. So check out the college football section for all the college football interviews. Same thing for NFL. And there is a possibility, because I got a little extra time till next Thursday, that we might be able to reach all 32 NFL team interviews. So we're getting close. We're really trying to fit in the schedules with everybody. But again, Arizona tonight. We have a bunch more NFL interviews coming up later this week here on the channel. So don't forget to subscribe for that too. And I've actually been thinking of doing some sort of Rutgers stuff myself. And I think I'm going to do something. I just don't know what that is. I don't feel like, of course, competing with Rich, because these guys like I said, I'll be watching them. So I might do something, I don't know, maybe on Sundays, maybe but something. I don't know whether it'll be right away or not, but just, hey, again, subscribe, check us out, because I will be talking a lot about Rutgers. Matter of fact, I did my college football sleeper preview. Actually, I did my college football top 15, I believe, or it was top 12. Actually, that makes more sense. And then I also added sleepers to keep an eye on for the season in college football. And I had a whole list of the top sleepers, and Rutgers was on my list. I might have had, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a top 12 sleepers as well, something like that. But Rutgers was in there. So I definitely had Rutgers as part of the top sleepers to keep an eye on, because I think they have the talent to knock off a couple of teams that nobody's expecting. We all, as Rutgers fans, believe this is going to be a big season, schedule permitting. And that's why you got to take care of business, as I was just saying before with Ohio. No hiccups with Ohio. We don't want to see that. Or Miami of Ohio. So hopefully they'll be 3-0 going into Iowa, and then we'll go from there. But again, I'll do some Rutgers talk this season on my own, not always having to bother Richie, but Richie will be joining me definitely a couple more times. And if it's a really big season, trust me, I'll be grabbing Richie as much as I can. So that is going to wrap it up. I'll see you again here later on with our Arizona interview later tonight, just for you football fans. And then if you are just a ProLine viewer, NASCAR talk at 4:00. We'll have a little bit of a playoff preview there, as well as a look at Darlington, the race that kicks off the playoffs on Sunday. So for Richie O'Leary, I'm Greg Yama. Thanks for tuning in.